Caitlin Clark didn't need to say a word. The moment her LPGA partnership was announced, the sports world tilted. While her performance on the court continues to impress, it's her off-court composure and branding strategy that just flipped the entire marketing playbook. As golf and basketball collide in a multi-million-dollar crossover deal, it's Clark's ability to stay quiet and stay winning.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
That's redefining the modern athlete. Meanwhile, Aya Wilson's reaction says more than she might realize. Instead of using the moment to elevate the conversation or strategize her own rise, Wilson chose the well-worn path of frustration, voicing resentment, not adaptation. And in today's climate, visibility rewards the calculated, not the reactive. This moment is bigger than one endorsement. Clark's deal marks a shift in how athletes gain influence, not just by dominating on the scoreboard, but by knowing how to navigate the spotlight. The sports economy is evolving fast, and players who understand branding, timing, and audience appeal are pulling ahead. Aya Wilson may have accolades, but this isn't just about MVPs anymore. It's about understanding the game beyond the game, and right now, Clark's playing it better. Caitlin Clark just bagged a massive endorsement deal with the LPGA, and women's sports might never be the same again. We're talking millions. For golf. And no, she's not switching sports. That's how powerful her name is right now. But while Clark is busy cashing in and expanding her empire, Aya Wilson, arguably the face of WNBA dominance, is watching from the sidelines, and let's just say she's not happy about it. What started as a business deal has turned into a full-blown cultural moment in women's sports. And yeah, Aya Wilson is mad. Visibly, publicly, passionately, while Clark remains completely silent. The contrast? Louder than any press conference could ever be. This isn't just about one deal. This is about the clash between legacy and marketability, dominance versus visibility, and the uncomfortable truth that in 2025, talent alone isn't enough to get you paid. You need eyes, engagement, and a brand. And right now, Caitlin Clark owns that playbook. Let's rewind. Aya Wilson is no rookie. Two-time WNBA MVP. Champion. Defensive powerhouse. She's done it all. She's climbed the mountain, planted the flag, and still, she's battling for the kind of spotlight that seems to just fall into Clark's lap. Wilson's frustration isn't coming out of nowhere. It's built up over years of grinding through underpromotion, lower sponsorship numbers, and fighting for relevance in a league that struggles to get the attention it deserves. Then here comes Caitlin Clark. Fresh out of college, already breaking records, topping jersey sales, and now partnering with the LPGA Tour in a cross-sport branding move that no one saw coming. She's not just a star. She's a marketing phenomenon. And Aya Wilson? She's watching as the sport she's helped carry for years suddenly revolves around someone else. And it stings. Wilson has spoken out. Subtly at times, not so subtly at others, voicing her disappointment in how players like her seem to be pushed aside in favor of newer, shinier names. Names that just so happen to come with viral media clips and more mainstream appeal. The unspoken frustration? That no matter how hard she works, she can't buy the type of visibility that Clark seems to attract just by showing up. Meanwhile, Clark hasn't said a word. Literally. No tweets. No interviews. No reaction to any of the noise. She's mastered the art of letting the moment speak for her. It's strategic. It's cold. And it works. Because every time someone tries to drag her into the drama, she doesn't take the bait. She just signs another deal. That's not luck. That's branding. Clark understands her value better than most athletes ever do. She knows when to talk, when to stay quiet, and how to control her narrative. That's not just smart, it's surgical. And it's made her a magnet for sponsors who want a clean, iconic, and, most importantly, marketable figurehead. Let's be clear, this LPGA deal is not about golf. It's about crossover potential. Clark is being positioned as the face of a movement that blends sports, culture, and media in a way that no woman in basketball has done at this scale in a very long time. Nike sees it. The LPGA sees it. Brands see it. And they're throwing money at it. Meanwhile, Wilson is out here wondering, where was all this money when I was dominating the league? It's a fair question. But it also reveals a cold truth about how sports marketing works in 2025. It's not about how many points you score. It's about how many headlines you own. And Wilson? She's been loud. She's taken the mic. She's called out disparities, dropped comments, made it clear that she's tired of being overlooked. And you know what? It hasn't worked. If anything, it's pushed her further into shadow of Clark's calm, calculated silence. That contrast is painfully visible, because in the public eye, silence often reads as professionalism, as class, as above it all, while passion, it gets misread as bitterness. And that's exactly how this is played out. Clark keeps rising without saying a word. Wilson keeps fighting, and looks increasingly sidelined in the process. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. The LPGA deal is symbolic. It's the kind of left-field endorsement that only happens when an athlete's name becomes bigger than their sport. Clark's basketball career isn't even a full season deep, and she's already moving into golf. Not because she plays it, but because she sells. That's it. She's not being recognized for technical performance in golf. She's being tapped for cultural capital. That kind of crossover power, it's rare. And none of it is being extended to players like Wilson. This entire situation puts a glaring spotlight on how women's sports are being marketed today. The old model, grind it out, win titles, stack trophies, isn't cutting it anymore. Now it's about visibility, engagement, personality. You're not just an athlete, you're a brand. And Wilson, for all her accolades, hasn't been marketed like one. To be blunt, Wilson has every right to feel frustrated. She's put in the work. She's delivered the wins. She should be a household name. But instead of adjusting to the new game, she's stuck in a cycle of calling it out and watching Clark lap her in deals, exposure, and cultural dominance. The more she reacts, the more it reinforces a narrative. Clark is untouchable. And Wilson? She's the one complaining. It's brutal, and it's unfair. But it's also the reality of a system that rewards marketability over merit. So where does that leave the WNBA? In a very awkward place. On one hand, Clark is bringing in new fans, massive media attention, and more money than the league's ever seen. On the other, that spotlight is burning holes in long-standing inequalities, sidelining the very players who made space for her in the first place. If you're a league exec, you're celebrating the influx of interest, but also sweating the fractures it's creating behind the scenes. Because unity is everything in a league still fighting for national attention. And right now, it looks like the stars are splitting into camps, those who benefit from a new branding wave, and those left out of it. There's been talk about potential exhibition games, cross-league events, maybe even strategic partnerships to bring everyone to the same table. But that only works if the tension gets addressed head-on. Pretending there isn't a divide between Clark's marketing power and Wilson's legacy-driven frustration just makes it worse. The irony is, they're both needed. Clark's reach and Wilson's resume could be a powerful combo. But right now, they're a symbol of everything that's broken in how women's sports are promoted. The league is at a crossroads. Sponsors are watching. Fans are divided. Players are venting. And at the center of it all is a quiet rookie who just signed a golf deal without picking up a club. So what's the takeaway? It's this. Visibility is currency now. Silence can be louder than speeches. And the game has changed. Forever. Clark didn't break the system. She just played it better. She showed how media strategy, controlled image, and crossover appeal can launch an athlete into another stratosphere. And Wilson? She's a cautionary tale. The reminder that excellence without exposure is no longer enough. If women's sports want to thrive, the solution isn't picking sides. It's fixing the system. Promote all your stars. Build real platforms for the veterans and the rookies. Don't make athletes feel like they have to go viral to matter. Otherwise, this divide, it's only going to get worse. Now, if you got thoughts, and we know you do, drop them in the comments. Is Clark just winning the branding game fair and square? Or is Wilson right to call out the imbalance? Let us know where you stand. Don't forget to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and share this with someone who's been following the chaos. Because this story, it's far from over. Here's where things get even messier. It's not just about two athletes. It's about what they represent and how the industry reacts to them. Caitlin Clark has become a lightning rod. She's not just a basketball player anymore. She's a brand ambassador, a walking sponsorship magnet, and now, somehow, a symbol of golf marketing strategy. The LPGA partnering with her? That's not just a cool side gig. It's a seismic statement. We want her name more than her skill set. That's how influential she is. She's not even swinging a club, but she's swinging markets. And here's Aya Wilson, watching all of this happen, knowing that she's the best player on the court, but getting paid like an afterthought. That's where the tension really hits. Because it's not just jealousy. It's deeper. It's the exhaustion of carrying a league, delivering championships, showing up year after year, and still being invisible to the people writing the checks. And when she finally does say something, she's called bitter, or jealous, or divisive. Let's be real, Wilson's public frustration is valid. She's not throwing tantrums. She's pointing out a system that lifts up one player for her media value and sidelines another despite years of athletic dominance. But when you speak on these things openly, especially as a black woman in sports, you're often painted as angry rather than assertive. That's the game behind the game. And Wilson knows it. But she's clearly reached a point where staying quiet isn't working either. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is mastering the new age athlete blueprint. Clean image, no controversy, limited emotional exposure, just performance and profit. It's the same model we've seen work for other crossover stars. Smooth, quiet, brand-friendly. But there's a coldness to it, too. Because Clark's silence isn't just about poise. It's about control. Every time a debate explodes around her name, she rises above it, not by addressing it, but by letting it feed her narrative. She doesn't have to respond to Aya Wilson. She doesn't need to. That's her power. And that silence? It only makes her more desirable to sponsors who see her as a blank canvas for their branding strategies. It's corporate-approved charisma. And it works. The backlash, though, isn't about Clark herself. It's about what the system rewards. Because right now, it's rewarding polish over passion, strategy over honesty, market appeal over earned respect. Wilson speaks from the heart. Clark plays the long game. And the long game is winning. This contrast is dividing the fan base too. Some people are all in on Clark, praising her as the future of women's sports. Others are riding for Wilson, frustrated that her dominance gets overlooked in favor of a newer, shinier media product. And both sides feel like they're fighting for justice. That division, it's dangerous, because the WNBA and women's sports in general are still in their growth phase. This isn't the NFL or the NBA, where rivalries boost ratings. This is a league that needs unity to survive long term. But when your biggest stars are being pitted against each other, not on the court, but in the culture, you risk tearing apart the momentum you've worked so hard to build. And let's not pretend this is some organic rivalry. It's being fueled by brands, by media narratives, by deals like this LPGA partnership that send a very clear message. Marketability matters more than anything else. The result? You get one athlete elevated as the face of the future, and another slowly pushed into the background, even when that second athlete is actually dominating the sport. That's where the resentment brews. And here's the wild part. This could have been a moment for both of them. The LPGA move could have opened a door for a joint branding push. A campaign showing the power of cross-sport collaboration, a rising tide that lifts all boats. But instead, it was another solo win for Clark. Another reminder to Wilson that this game doesn't always reward the best player. It rewards the most bankable one. And now, the fallout's here. Wilson's not just reacting to Clark. She's reacting to years of being undervalued. And Clark, by staying silent, keeps playing the perfect role, above the drama, untouched by the discourse, and more valuable because of it. It's brutal, but it's effective. Meanwhile, fans are left asking real questions. Is it fair that the league pours attention into a player still proving herself professionally, while veterans like Wilson get crumbs? Is Clark's dominance in the media landscape a sign of her brilliance, or just proof that the system favors certain types of stars? And perhaps the biggest question, is this good for the game? That's where things get even more complex. Because yes, Caitlin Clark is bringing in new fans. More eyes. More revenue. She's a rising tide in theory. But if the rest of the league is sinking while she's floating, what are we really building? Wilson's frustration is a warning. She's telling the league, don't put all your chips on one person. Don't erase the foundation for a fresh coat of paint. Don't act like visibility is the only thing that matters when we made this league visible in the first place. And she's not wrong. But again, this is where Clark's silence becomes so powerful. Because she's not attacking Wilson. She's not playing into the drama. She's not even acknowledging it. She's just working, signing deals, playing games, and letting the narrative shape itself around her absence. That makes her untouchable, uncancelable. And for brands, it makes her golden. It's the ultimate media judo move. And Wilson? She's stuck playing by old rules in a new game. So, where do we go from here? If the WNBA wants to grow with its players, not just off the back of one superstar, it needs to change the formula, create real infrastructure to promote all athletes, highlight different styles, different stories, different voices, because otherwise you're just repeating the same pattern we've seen in every other league. One golden goose and a dozen bitter veterans who made it possible. And that's a future no one wants. Caitlin Clark isn't the problem. She's a result of a system that decided marketability matters more than merit. A system that taught athletes to speak less, smile more, and build a brand before building a resume. And she's thriving in it. But Aya Wilson? She's a reality check. The one reminding everyone that stats, rings, and MVPs don't always equal respect. That dominance on the court doesn't guarantee visibility off it. And that if we don't fix the way we value athletes, the future will keep repeating the same mistakes. So here we are, a rookie with a golf deal, a champion with a microphone, and a league caught in the middle. This isn't just drama. It's a defining moment, because how this plays out will shape the next generation of stars. Will they be encouraged to focus on performance, or to build a brand? Will they speak their truth like Wilson, or keep quiet like Clark? And what will the league reward? Let's be honest, this tension, it's not going anywhere. Not when Caitlin Clark is pulling headlines just by breathing, and Aya Wilson is out here begging the world to care about actual championships. The contrast is getting sharper, not softer. And the league? It's starting to buckle under the weight of its own PR choices. Because the moment Clark inked that LPGA deal, the conversation shifted. It wasn't just about her basketball performance anymore. It was about how far her name could stretch. From basketball to golf to probably toothpaste commercials by the end of the year. She's not just a player. She's a multi-platform product. And that's the kind of thing sponsors live for. But here's the catch. The more the spotlight tightens around Clark, the dimmer it gets for everyone else. And Wilson? She knows that. You can see it in every post, every soundbite, every point of reaction. It's not envy, it's desperation. Desperation to be seen, to be valued, to not have to win another title just to get half the attention Clark gets for showing up to a golf event in athleisure. And here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to say out loud. Wilson has done more for women's basketball than Clark has yet earned. That's not shade, it's just a timeline. Wilson's been carrying the league through its quiet years, through the media droughts, through the nights when attendance dipped and sponsorships dried up. And yet, the moment a newer, shinier narrative emerged, she was left holding her MVP trophies in one hand and resentment in the other. Because it's not just that Clark is winning. It's that Wilson never got the chance to win like that. Never got the full Nike machine. Never got the crossover deal that had the internet in a chokehold. Never got the face of the league moment without also having to prove herself 5 times over. And so now, when Wilson watches Clark get handed what she had to bleed for, it's personal. Of course it is. But here's the paradox. Every time Wilson speaks out, every time she questions the system, she unintentionally reinforces the very branding hierarchy she's pushing back against. Because while she's reacting, Clark is winning. Quietly, strategically, like a brand-trained assassin. Every tweet Wilson sends, that's another reason brands see Clark as the safe bet. The one who doesn't stir the pot. The one who rises above it. It's infuriating, and it's effective, because right now, the sports world isn't rewarding passion. It's rewarding polish. Not dominance, but diplomacy. Not legacy, but likability. That's the new metric. And Clark? She's acing it without breaking a sweat. The question is, can Wilson adapt? Because here's the thing, complaining won't shift the machine. You have to hijack it. You have to become so unignorable, so media savvy, that your talent and your personality are impossible to separate. Right now, Wilson is clinging to old rules, the idea that excellence should speak for itself. But in 2025, that's cute, but it's not how the game works. Excellence whispers. Marketing? That shouts. And Clark? She's a megaphone. That doesn't mean Wilson's wrong. It just means she's playing on a chessboard that changed while she was too busy winning actual titles. But if this divide keeps growing between the marketed and the marginalized, it's going to implode from the inside. The league will fracture. Fans will pick sides. Sponsors will get skittish. And the unity women's sports need to grow? Gone. That's what makes this moment so critical. It's not about who's right. It's about whether this ecosystem can evolve fast enough to hold space for both a marketing icon and a dominant champion. Because if it can't, you'll keep seeing the same story play out. Over and over. The quiet, strategic rookie gets the deals. The seasoned vet gets the bitterness. And the league suffers for it. So if Wilson wants to win this fight, it can't be through frustration. It has to be through reinvention. Because the sad truth is, if you don't control your image, someone else will. And Wilson? She's got the talent. She's got the resume. What she needs now is a narrative. Because Clark? She's already got hers. And she's using it to cash checks the rest of the league can't even dream of. So what's next? Will the league figure out how to celebrate multiple kinds of greatness? Will Wilson pivot, take the spotlight she deserves, and force the media to follow her instead of chasing Clark? Or will we keep watching the same pattern, where silence wins and frustration fades into the background? Let us know what you think. Is Caitlin Clark just dominating the branding game, fair and square? Is Aya Wilson fighting a losing battle? Or is there a better way to lift everyone without turning the court into a battleground? Drop a comment, smash the like button, and hit subscribe, because this rivalry, it's rewriting the rules of women's sports, and you're going to want front row seats to what happens next.